provided. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jennifer Ragnow asked to be excused. Councilman Barrison?
Here.
Theodore Chase?
Here.
Robert LaCourte?
Here.
Shaw Keller?
Here.
Mahir Rafiq?
Here.
Charles Brown?
Here.
Robert Thomas?
Here.
Rebecca Hilbert?
Here.
Mark Dancy? And Chairman Orsini.
Here. Okay. Before we start, just one planning board announcement that I'd like to make. So I'd like to, unfortunately, acknowledge that we are losing Rebecca after this meeting. She's moving to a nearby but different town, and we wish her all the best, and we will very much miss her fine contributions to the board. And I hope whoever council nominates to replace her is half as good. So best of luck where you're going, and stay in touch, I hope. And I hope you'll continue municipal service where you're headed.
Thank you. And this was my first time ever on a planning board, and I want to say all the professionals made it so easy. Really kudos to all of you. It was great. And every time you ran, Chairman, I've just learned so much. And I also appreciate the town members of Franklin who came out and advocated for the town. So it's been a real privilege to be on the board, and I hope to come back one day to the town. I'm just going to Hillsborough. It's not even that far.
And you're always welcome. And I'm sure Hillsborough, not knowing much about Hillsborough government, but I'm sure they could use somebody like you there.
Thank you.
I mean, everybody faces the same issues. So with that, the minutes for the regular meeting for May 7th.
Just Charles Brown cannot vote.
Probably just because you weren't here. It's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that sounds.
Too effective.
Hey, I say that all the time, Charles. No offense taken.
Yeah, he was on tour, I think. So I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Robert LaCourte?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Mahir Rafiq?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Rebecca Hilbert?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes.
Make it bigger.
You made it too big.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well, now it's moved over that way.
So we have few resolutions. IDIL Davidson, which is an extension of time, which we actually did here with their representative in the planning at the meeting. So I'll make a motion for that.
Who second, Bob? LaCourte?
It is okay
Yep.
if it's well.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Robert LaCourte?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Rebecca Hilbert?
Yes.
And Chairman Orsini.
Yes. The second extension of time, we did not have the representative here at the planning board meeting, but Peter Vignolo, our counsel, attested to their situation, and we moved that they would have an extension of time, so I moved that resolution 4789 Hamilton.
Second.
A second from Bob.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Robert LaCourte?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. And lastly, our redevelopment area resolution that we heard last time, make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We have it.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Robert LaCourte?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Mahir Rafiq?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. In the interest of efficiency, we have no discussion item. We have open public comment. I would assume that we have Tara here for that, and then Mika for the affordable housing, which you're not going to be publicly commenting. Vince, if you don't want to say anything, I'm just going to acknowledge, and assuming Bill is here to just report the news that's fit to print, maybe some that isn't, that we can attest that we have no public here. So I don't think there's a need to open. Fair?
It sounds, if you had opened and closed, I think we'd be done.
Yeah, but that sounded better.
I think I'm back to
It was. It's all I can say is well played. I really didn't save that much time.
I think
It's all good.
to June
It's all good.
4th
That's what
somehow.
friends are for. All right. So that brings us to the trails and pathways. So that brings us to Tara.
So, this is minutes.
Minutes, yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. How are you? My name is Tara Kenyon. I'm the open space consultant and the sustainability consultant for Franklin. One of the things I've been working on with our Trails Advisory Committee is the update to the Franklin Township Pathways and Trails Plan. So, next slide, please. Sorry. Thank you. So the original Pathways and Trails Plan was adopted in December of 2008. So that's what we've been working with for quite some time. That plan was great. It identified some recommendations for some new trails, for some connections to trails, and for programming and policy changes. So there was 20 recommendations altogether for new or connected trails, some of which have been completed, some of which we're still working on and have carried over to the new plan. There was the need for safer design options for bicyclists in the original plan, and as you know, we're still working on that. There was a recommendation for the creation of an Adopt a Trail program, and there was the recommendation for coordinating with the state of New Jersey and with Somerset County for lands that are in Franklin Township and we can connect with and use as part of our municipal trails network. So in working in the updated plan, the things that we have now we're working on what is left to be finished, but we've also included a focus on accessibility of our trails for all ages and abilities, stewardship and management of the trails that we have, and increased programming to promote the usage of our trail network. Next slide, please. So in working on the Pathways and Trails Plan, the methodology we took was that we looked at the original plan, the mapping that was there, the mapping that was done. Now, again, this was in 2008, so our GIS technology has really improved since then. So we basically took what was there and we converted the kind of layers, I guess, that we had at the time into actual data points. So they've all been walked and mapped using a GIS mapping tool, and we use that to update all of our mapping. We then overlaid that with preserved open space and trails already in Franklin Township to help us identify the connections and where new trails would be best. We then use the New Jersey Conservation Foundation's Conservation Blueprint, which is basically an online GIS mapping system to look at environmental features, the presence of wetlands and forests, tree canopy, so we can kind of really choose what are the best connections to be made and then use that in our updated plan. We then submitted the first draft to Mark Healy and to the Open Space Advisory Committee for recommendations. I incorporated those recommendations into the plan, and that kind of is now in the draft that we're in as part of this meeting. Next slide, please. So the goals for our updated trails, pathways and trails plan is there's 5 goals altogether. So it's to proactively seek logical opportunities for trails expansion, connection, and improvements. It's to create connections that increase tourism opportunities, to leverage funding opportunities so that we can acquire new municipal trails and maintain them in our network. We're very focused on promoting and educating the importance of our trails through public events. And the Trails Committee in particular is really, they're always working hard to serve as vigilant stewards for the Trails Network. So each of our Trails Committee members has adopted a trail, and they walk it every month and they submit comments. We have like a living Google sheet that gets sent to DPW and kind of helps us understand what needs to be fixed and kind of what's prioritize everything. Next slide, please. So this is a map. It's kind of an older map of our trails network at the time. So this is kind of where we started off using this. Now, before we did our updated mapping, kind of the technology only really allowed us to draw lines. So they weren't connected to any data points. So we've since changed that. Next slide, please. So this is an example of the new maps that are in the plan. So as you can see, I put one for Negri Napodi and one for DeMott Lane Walking Path. So as you can see, number one, they're in color. We also have a black and white version for the trails brochure, so that makes it easier for printing and to leave at the kiosks. We have the QR code there. We have a legend. It's over an aerial so that a user of the trails map can kind of like identify where they are. And the other main point is that these lines, they can be extracted off this map and put onto an open space map or another map because they've been walked and they've been mapped by AT, who has been a huge help in our IT department. So it's an actual data point. So these are correct trails that people can follow, very accurate. The DeMott Lane Walking Path, we never had a map for that before. So part of our new trails plan doesn't just include our regular, what you would consider trails. We have the JFK walking path in there, and we have the DeMott Lane walking path in there because they are important connections to other trails and open spaces in the community. Next slide, please. So some highlights from our updated Pathways and Trails plan. As of December 2024, there's 68.91 miles of trails within Franklin Township, and 27.77 miles of that are municipal trails. We've made 17 very strategic recommendations for the development of new trails and the expansion of existing trails. We did that by every month at our Trails Advisory Committee for probably a year straight. We would go through the old plan and look to see what has been done, what should be amended, what we should continue with, and we went through that looking at all the variables I showed you before. We also made recommendations in there for the focus being on accessibility, so using surfaces that are accessible for all people, and also equitable development of trails throughout the township. So making sure we're looking at trails, like one of the projects we're working on right now is at Naaman Williams Park. So making sure that we're working in wards 4 and 5 more often than not. And we're also making recommendations in the plan for parking, surface materials, signage, and benches, because those are all parts of the trails that need to be maintained to be successful. So since 2008, the Trails Committee has really been engaged in stewardship, education, and community engagement. So we worked with the New Jersey Audubon Society to put together a grasslands management plan that we've been using. We've partnered with township committees like the Environmental Commission and Recreation to hold events for people with special needs, the Flyer Fly Walk. We've had Walk with a Cop at a trail. So we've tried to really have some different themes to get different people to come out. And we host annual events consistently, like our National Trails Day and our Firefly Walk, which actually is coming up on July 12th at the John Clyde Native Grasslands Preserve. And it's beautiful. It starts at 8 o'clock. We wait till the fireflies come out, we do a walk, and the Astronomy Club comes as well, and they do an observation. So it's really a nice thing. Next slide, please. So our key recommendations for 2025 and beyond, I just listed them here. They're much more detailed in the plan. I have the link to the plan at the end if you want to read. They have sub-goals and everything. But just to kind of give you an idea, our goals for now and moving forward, some of them are the same from the 2008 plan. Some of them are new. We want to be sure that we link to destinations like our historic sites, our municipal facilities, our schools. We want to focus on underserved areas, equity and accessibility. We want to definitely continue hosting hikes and trails events because we've noticed this has really brought a lot of different people to our trails. And the other thing is now that we have all of our mapping updated, we want to make sure that stays up to date. We want to make sure the trails brochures are up to date. And because of the way that we did the mapping, it took us a little longer to do the plan, but now we can have someone go out there, and if a new offshoot of a trail comes, they can just walk it while holding their phone, and it goes automatically to the cloud, and it updates the trail. So it makes it much more user-friendly. Next slide, please. So we have actually already accomplished a few projects from the new PTP, even though it's not really like up and running yet, but for the Trails Committee, it is kind of up and running. I told you about the field mapping tool we use, so I already talked about that a few times. The other part that we decided to do was start converting our trails signs to paint blazes. This is consistent with the county's system. So we're actually painting blazes. It saves time for DPW. The blazes last much longer, and they're actually a much better and safer wayfinding system, so we've been doing that. And that's just an example of the middle picture is Middle Bush Park. You can kind of see, I'm sorry, Inman Park. You can kind of see the red square there. The graph to the right is that's the trails marking system we're used, and we have that of all of our trails now so people understand. And the picture on the left I always put in there is my daughter, and I always put that to embarrass her because she helped me paint a lot of the trails. She likes going out and doing that, so she was painting one at our Butler Road trails. So if you ever go out there and you see that, she's been in there painting them. So I think, next slide, but I think that might be it. Yep. So if you want to see the full text of the plan with all of the maps, the link is there. There's also our webpage has been updated with our new mapping and our new trails brochure. So that's the second link. And then the third link is if you're interested in learning about the Trails Advisory Committee or any of the events they hold, you can get information there. And that's it.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Ted, go ahead.
I actually wrote up quite a lot of points, which I sent to Tara.
Yes.
But
Yep.
a lot of them are more suggestions for the future, but there were several instances where I felt the text and the inset maps just didn't agree. For instance, in the section on the Dunn-Gunther Trail, the open space connection map shows only the part from Saddam Road to Jake's Lane, but the text describes the intended project all the way to Van Cleef Road. So there really ought to be a map showing the connection to the bike lane on Van Cleef Road, at least schematically, because
Right.
that section has never really been planned. It's something that was dear to John Luce's heart. And the two parts about Treptow Road and Martino Drive, the first one where it says Treptow Road, Martino Drive bike path connection, quote, the existing bike path from Martino Drive is interrupted at Treptow Road. By completing the connection, bikes can safely progress to DeMott Lane, where they can proceed down the DeMott Lane walking path in a southerly direction to Ramwell Road or in a northerly direction to Easton Avenue. And I can't figure out what this means. The map is no help. It only circles the intersection of Martino Drive, Treptow Road, and Willow Road. Do you mean constructing, widening, perhaps widening of the road, a bike path along the entire length of Martino Drive to DeMott Lane? I should have driven across that on my way down this evening. But
Right.
As I passed it on DeMott Lane, I looked, I didn't see a bike lane. Or did you mean a bike lane along Treptow to where the sidewalk ends?
So we meant a bike lane along Martino, and that will go to DeMott. The reason that it's circled like that, so that group of maps in the plan, it's almost like a phased group of mapping because it's such a big project that builds upon itself. So if you look at the bottom of the page, it'll say you have to reference the next, like map 8, map 9, 10, 11 to kind of follow the progression because it's like a phased approach. So I think that's why when you see the very beginning, the map doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But we tried to map it all on one, and it was so busy that it was very hard to understand. So I think that's probably but I understand your point about how the text should be clear, that we're intending a bike lane is what we're proposing. Because it is
proposing a bike lane for the length of Martino Drive.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then the connection of Martino Drive to Middle Bush Park. And map 11 only shows a short stretch of bike lane along Martino Drive, and here I was confused, did that bike lane exist or not? Not the connection to Middle Bush Park, which would presumably be through the wooded lot between them that's shown on the map.
right. Right, so the connection into Middle Bush Park is right where it would be through the back of Middle Bush Park where that bike lane is showing it would go. So maybe really what it is that showing that map in pieces can be a little confusing, so maybe we should combine it into one map, although when we put it all in one map, it's kind
No.
of,
So
because in
you
order
mean
for,
the connection would be west of Sussex Place?
the connection would be what, yes, yes,
Okay.
that would be right,
Not
correct.
through the green
Right.
lot, which is to the east.
Right, correct, yep.
And then one other point was you talk about prescribed burns,
Mm-hmm.
but the description only goes up to January 2023. Haven't there been some burns since then?
No, so that's why it only goes till January 2023, because we didn't get to, so the fire service couldn't get us on the list for 2024, and they missed it for 2025 as well. So I can go back in and basically put a sentence that says, we did apply for prescribed burns in 24 and 25, but we didn't have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last burn was in 2023.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's, oh, and one other thing, you have a nice map of the Kingston Loop on the Flemmer Preserve, but it's entirely in South
Oh,
Brunswick.
yes. So our parking lot is there, and in the past, we've always shown it. And when I talked to the Trails Committee, we thought about not putting that in there because it's in South Brunswick, but we do have a small parking area. So we wanted to kind of show that, you
don't
can, I know.
don't remember whether the map actually even goes up to 27.
Yeah, that I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but
what's in Franklin Township,
know.
that's the Flemmer Preserve is.
yeah,
is-
I think the idea was to kind of show that you can use, you can come into Franklin and use the Flemmer Preserve, and we still have it on our website even. It's always been, we've kind of always promoted it. But we can either take it out or make a note that basically says, most of this is in South Brunswick. It's kind of just historically always been there, so.
And of course, there is a trail along, well, it was actually where the railroad track was.
Right.
Along the landward side of the canal all the way to Route 518.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it
How far
out.
is the Flemmer Preserve, but
I'd keep it
Okay.
in. There's nothing wrong with cross-promoting it.
Yeah, we can make a note too, or even just on the map, say South Brunswick side, Franklin side.
no.
That works.
Okay, well, I won't bedevil you anymore.
That's okay. No, I appreciate you reading it. Thank you.
Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you for the report. I'll keep bringing this up as a member of the board, and it's the abandoned railway line that cuts clean across. Every time I visit the Atlanta Beltline or the Indianapolis Culture Trail, I'm really jealous of those, and I think we have an opportunity in Franklin to do something similar, if not better.
Right.
Was that considered at all?
It was. So we met with the county a while back just because they've had kind of some experience with meeting with the railroads and trying to see if they can work with them. And, the impression that we kind of got is that it's trying to get that project going is just difficult. And it's been kind of like a big undertaking, and it's a lot of moving parts, and that the rail company is not interested in working with us. Now that's just secondhand. So we didn't put it in this time only because we just felt like we have nothing on the ground. However, I don't think there's any problem with adding it as something that we want to look into. I know our environmental commission actually has really been interested in Rails to Trails, so it's definitely something we can put in as a goal.
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay.
I would also love to see Rutgers, the blousing school, do a visualization of what it would look like
Yeah, that would be
once it
great.
was improved.
Absolutely.
And I know members of your board have connections there,
Yep.
including myself. So I think we should make it a graduate school project
Yeah, that
with
would
a
be
winning
excellent.
prize, just so people can see
Yeah.
what the vision could be like, because that's part of the fear, not knowing
Absolutely.
what's possible.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we can definitely add that in. We can add it in at least as something that we're looking to, kind of research and start off.
Great. So you're adding it in?
Well, I think we can add it. Well, technically, the Trails Committee is supposed to say that, but I don't think they'll have a problem adding it in. So,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Well, there's a problem in some places. The rail lot has been added to a residential lot, so there's no longer a through corridor of rail right-of-way.
Right,
And even
yeah.
beyond the ones where it's been legally added, I know that houses along Smith Road, they treat that as part of their lot and will object
I'm
violently
sure, yeah.
Deal with that later.
if we try to take
Yeah.
it back.
I'm sure. I think that's
Because-
part of the reason that we were concerned about putting it in because of things like that. But I think we can put it in and say, we should be researching this and seeing if it's possible. I think at least we can start there.
Thank you.
No.
I was under, and I totally agree with Charles, I was under the impression, at least when I was on open space, which now was say, more than 10 years ago, since I gave it up. But I thought there was a trail from the Millstone line that took you from like the Memorial Forest to Elizabeth, and then you could walk Elizabeth and go to Colonial Park. I don't know whether that became defunct, because I remember, and in all fairness, I haven't kept up with it, but there were a lot of complaints for the people along Amwell.
Right.
And that same rail line goes all the way to 27, right? It's the spur that would bring
Right.
wealthy people to summer, as a verb, in
Okay.
East Millstone.
Right, yeah.
So it would be great. I mean, it crosses a number of open space properties that we own, the Memorial Forest, one of them, and then it continues like Smith Road and keeps going right all the way to 27, and it would be, and I think, Charles, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean, it goes from an area of the township that probably doesn't have nearly as much access to those types of recreational opportunities and can bring them to
Right.
Colonial Park or to the canal or wherever. So I would strongly support that. I mean, easements can always happen. Deeds, if it was added, then you need to buy it back or whatever. I don't know. But I understand the difficulty. It's not just as easy as me saying that. But
Yeah, well, I think we can
the
put it
board
in
would
there for
strongly
sure.
support it.
Yeah, I mean, the plan is really kind of, it's aspirational, it's also practical, so I think, we can at least put it in there as something to look into for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even looked into, again, this was before there was a Trails Committee proper, so this kind of came under the purview of open space, and Trails got so many that they started a Trails Committee. But we actually looked into Sealy's Run, kind of where, it crosses JFK by St. Matthias and then runs. And again, we came up with, people like, why are you guys here? What are you doing? Are you in our
Yeah.
backyard? But the thing is, and I don't know whether there's enough room there, but even if you could take that from where it starts, like I think it's Sampson G. Smith is like
Right.
the headwaters, and take it to JFK,
Mm-hmm.
then you can go to Inman, you can get, right, even little things, right? It doesn't, you do things incrementally is better than doing nothing. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you, yep.
So that's actually was going to be my comment too. Anybody else? Bob LaCourt.
Tara and, not Tara, Mr. Chase and I work with Tara on open space, and she's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I'm really proud of what you've done.
Oh, good, I'm
I
glad.
have one question.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, I think you and I, at the last open space meeting or two. The county has a grant program for trails. Are we going to be tapping into that?
Yes, so the Trails Committee discussed that at their last meeting, and at last night's open space meeting, at the end, we discussed it a little bit. And so we are looking to definitely put a grant application in there,
Okay.
and so I will work on that. We have to submit a cost estimate and a concept plan, so I'll have to work with Maureen to get that done. I can do the mapping, but I can't do like CAD drawings.
Yeah, I
So
had to
can
run
definitely
that
work with
last
her,
night.
yeah. But we're absolutely going to apply for that, for
Okay.
sure.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
I've heard that there's a state grant program for trail construction, that there's been one round and a second round is anticipated, although the person telling me about it said that it was a very demanding application.
Yes, yes.
But that would be something for a more major trail construction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I believe that one is still coming around. I feel like Franklin might have applied for that a while back before I was here. It's a very detailed application that's required, but it's definitely worth looking into. And if the plan's in place, then we kind of have like projects that we can use,
I'd really like to see the trail crossing 6 Mile Run, and
Yeah.
it could connect up to, there is a trail running in from the parking lot on Jake's Lane
Oh,
to
right.
the trail that runs along the south side of 6 Mile Run, so it's not quite all of it
Yeah, that
has
would be
to
a
be
good project.
constructed, but it
Definitely.
would involve a bridge. And I know John Luce had talked to the park authorities, and they were supportive.
They are, yeah, they usually
Because they
tend to
could
be.
completely block it if they wanted,
Right.
but they were supportive. But
Yeah, that would be a great
we
project.
never got beyond that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what we will need to do is open to the public as a board, and then we can adopt this as a part of the master plan. So I won't get hazed by Peter. I make a motion to open to the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is open to the public for any comment on the trails plan. Seeing no takers, move to close.
So Mike, just a question
Yep,
for the
yep,
board. Do
yep.
you want to adopt it with, are you going to adopt it with the changes that have been discussed?
You want to see it again?
Or do you want to see it again?
No, I mean, personally, I don't think I need to see it again. I think the changes Ted communicated and Charles
Yeah.
is very clear, and I think Tara has a good understanding of that. I don't think we need to see it again. But yeah.
That was my suggestion when I sent my comments to Tara. She responded back, "Do you want me to print the whole thing again?" I said, no, we can adopt it with the understanding that the changes will be
Yeah.
incorporated.
Particularly since the two gentlemen who are making those suggestions feel comfortable with that.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
So we still have to finish closing, so I made a motion to close the public. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've had a discussion that we're good with adopting it, so I make a motion to adopt the updated 2025 Trails and Pathways Plan as part of the overall master plan for Franklin Township.
Second.
Councilman Embarrasso,
Yes.
Theodore Chase,
Yes.
Robert LaCourt,
Absolutely.
Shaw Keller,
Yes.
Mahir Rafik,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Rebecca Hilbert,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Very much yes. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too. All right, second and related part of our agenda tonight is the housing element and fair share plan fourth round.
A number of years ago.
And so we have Mika to, once again, capably lead us through this.
I keep getting messages to use an AI assistant when all I want to do is scroll down.
You must have me something. Somehow you got to figure
This doesn't do any good.
that has to overcome it. That's why the vision. That's why the students do a vision of it. It could change some of that. Some way to, on paper, secure that or convince them that they're not in mortal danger.
Decided to start it on before I saw the end of the prior presentation, but technology has never been my friend. Anyway, so good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is, I don't think it's on. Good, thank you. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Malvika Apte. I also go by Mika Apte. I am here to talk about your housing element and fair share plan. The plan was prepared by CME Associates in consultation with your township planner, Mr. Mark Healy, and the Economic Development Director, Mr. Vincent. The plan is dated May 29th, 2025. So I'm going to briefly summarize what the plan contains, how Township of Franklin intends to meet its fourth round affordable housing obligation, and what are the mechanisms we are proposing. Part of my presentation just wants to walk you through, where we have been and why we do this every so often, every decade. Every municipality in state of New Jersey is subjected to this, and I just want to kind of give you an overview of that. Starting with, I'm sure all of you are aware, there's this sorry, was I supposed to wait? Okay. There is the Mount Laurel doctrine, which basically creates the constitutional obligation for every municipality in the state of New Jersey to provide its fair share of the region's need. In accordance to the doctrine, the towns are not allowed to do exclusionary zoning to keep some part of low and moderate income housing out of the municipal borders. This all started with the famous Supreme Court case known as the South Burlington NAACP versus Mount Laurel Township, also known as the Mount Laurel 1 case back in 1975. Following which there were a cascade of cases, and I won't go through each of them, but there were Mount Laurel 2, 1983. There was a watershed case that basically focused on what we call the builder's remedy lawsuit, which basically provides a legal recourse for builders and developers who can file a lawsuit against municipalities that don't meet their fair share of affordable housing obligation. Following which 1985 was the Fair Housing Act that was passed, which basically created your state agency known as Council of Affordable Housing. The Council of Affordable Housing was asked to create regulations for the first round and the second round. The first round and second round spans from 1987 to 1999, and they created what we call, even know today, as the Fair Share methodology. 2004, again, Council of Affordable Housing was bestowed upon and asked to create the third round rules and a methodology for that. They came up with that created what they call a growth share methodology. That method was challenged by several of the objectors, and that followed a cascade of lawsuits, creating in the end almost a deadlock procedure where Council of Affordable Housing couldn't create the third round rules. Following that, basically 2015, the Supreme Court judiciary almost, essentially quote-unquote abolished Council of Affordable Housing, and every municipality within the state of New Jersey kind of diverted their attention to the courts as to reaching a settlement agreement and meeting what their fair share of obligation would be. Every township filed what we call a declaratory judgment in order to meet the settlement agreements with their objectors and come up with mechanisms for their third round plan. Now, where was Township of Franklin in all this? Township of Franklin actually did receive their second round certification back from Council of Affordable Housing in 1987. They even got their third round certification in 1997, but remember I said that the growth share methodology was thrown out, because of which Township had to kind of renegotiate their settlement. Township of Franklin, just like every other municipality, turned to the courts, and they entered into the settlement agreement for their third round back in 2017. Township was granted the fairness, basically saying that the mechanisms that are proposed are fair and just, and they had to come up with a fair share plan. I was just informed, Chairman was involved during that time, and I'm sure most of you remember what the third round plan was, so I will not try to recreate those memories for you, but just very briefly go over how Township of Franklin has met its round 1, round 2, and round 3. Round 1, our obligation was, I believe, give me 1 minute. I didn't open my cheat sheets. Sorry. I believe round 1, our obligation was about 766 units. Township created several mechanisms. We had some carryover from, existing senior rentals, existing family rentals, as well as at that time in round 1, round 2, we had what we call a regional contribution agreement. We had that with Perth Amboy to move 29 of our credits to Perth Amboy, and we had about several group homes that gave us almost credit of 48. In short, we met our prior round and almost had a surplus going into the third round. The third round, which we did through settlement agreement, we had our requirement as 2,076 units. Township of Franklin, again, as part of the new rules, we have to provide what we call a report card. How well have we done? Township of Franklin actually is one of the very few towns, even with such a large obligation, we have done very well. Most of our developments that were projected in mechanisms have been built, other than the RPM and Leawood phases, which even till today have been zoned. So there is a potential of that getting developed, and that's why it's still a viable mechanism and still is included in our third round plan. Overall, we have almost a credit for 297, so we have surplus of 19 credits. So that brings us, with a brief history, to where we are today and why I am before you. In March of 2024, the state legislature adopted the new laws establishing new procedures for moving forward how municipalities will be meeting their fair share requirement. They formally abolished Council of Affordable Housing and created an affordable housing program. The program will be overseeing the municipalities, how they meet their mechanisms, and right now it's the fourth round that's declared for next 10 years from 2025 to 2035, but the idea is these laws and procedures will keep continuing on for every 10 years moving forward. The laws also created created a timeline in which every municipality has to do certain items by that requirement. The first and foremost was every municipality has to adopt the governing body of that municipality has to adopt a binding resolution, letting the affordable housing program know as to what numbers they accept and what that they would be agreeing to provide a housing plan and fair share plan. Township of Franklin did adopt a resolution with our own number. I forgot to say DCA did come up with a suggested obligation numbers back in October of 2024. Township of Franklin did their due diligence and created, what we believed should be our obligation for fourth round based on the amount of available land and the constraints that exist in the township, the environmental constraints. That was negotiated, and Township received a settlement order from the Affordable Housing Program that adjusted our obligation number for the prospective need, and we have a rehab obligation number also. I'll go into what that number is in a brief second. The next deadline that we have is by June 30th of 2025, every municipality that had adopted a binding resolution has to adopt a housing element and fair share plan. It is a plan, that's why we are here before the planning board, because the planning board is the authority that would adopt this plan. Following which, the other two important dates to keep in mind is if any interested party is interested in challenging it, they have up until August 31st of this year to challenge any municipality's fair share plan. If the fair share plan is accepted the way it is, remember we have several mechanisms in that, and following which ordinances and resolutions have to get adopted by March of 2026. So those are the important dates and times to remember as to why every municipality has to follow this timetable. So what is Franklin's obligation? Franklin's obligation for the round 4 is which, as I said, was a number that was kind of went back and forth, and we got settled with, is 659 units. How do we intend to meet that? We intend to meet that through three developments that are going to be family rental developments, and one senior rental development, and the surplus that we had from our third round, the 19 credit surplus. We also have a rehabilitation requirement of 268 units. Township of Franklin intends to to still continue participating in the Somerset County rehab program, through which several of residents, low and moderate income residents, have availed that with the county. The township also kind of goes for the CDBG grant funds and creates the township rehab program, through which we are going to continue to meet that rehab requirement for the township of Franklin. Now, how are we meeting the 659 units? As I said, this is just a synopsis. I'll just run through the couple of sites that we have said in our mechanism. The first is the 260 Davidson. This site is actually a current vacant extended stay hotel. It's actually a very cool, I shouldn't use the word cool in formal settings, but it is one of a very exciting project. It is a proposed rehab of an extended stay hotel to be converted into 1, 2 bedroom units, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. It's going to be 100% affordable development, so we get all the credits for all the units that are built there. And we're going to get 142 units out of this, and because it is redevelopment of a commercial site, it was a hotel site, we get bonus. And we are applying almost 70 credits of that. So this development itself gives us a 142 plus 70 unit credit from this development. We would also be, I would be amiss to say, like I said, it is a 100% affordable development. Because it is a rehab and already existing development, it meets the 4 criteria that the 4th round requires us to provide, which is it available, is it developable, is it suitable, and is it approvable? It is available. We have negotiated with the contract purchaser for this. They are aware of this and think it's a viable project that they can afford to provide. Is it developable? All the infrastructure already exists, so nothing more has to be done in order to rehabbing and converting a vacant property, and which would create credits for the township itself. It's suitable, again, because there are no environmental constraints. It's a developed piece of property. And is it approvable? Through this mechanism, the township, with creating this site in the plan, we will create an overlay zone that would make this site, again, it'll come as a site plan application before the board, and there would be zoning requirements attached to it, which will make sure, the parking, the unit mix, and everything that would be applied for this project. So that is the first project that's said in the mechanism. The map on the left bottom of the screen is included in your housing element fair share plan. The picture on the right is just to kind of put an aerial view of what is the site that I'm talking about. The next slide. The next property is the 347 Elizabeth Avenue. This is again, located in one of the northern sections of the township. It is what you see on the top faded area of that picture is 287. It is an existing office building. This is another one of those projects where you are proposing reutilization of an underutilized site. And that's what makes it a good planning argument to make as to why you would propose a development here. It's a 5-story office building. I mean, I'm sure all of you know the new land use principles, standalone vacant office spaces with work from home and people choosing to, not commute every day. These large vacant office spaces are no longer the land use mantra of today. Usually offices do want to be in a downtown where they can avail other kinds of uses. So taking away this, vacant property and creating a zone to create a proposed inclusionary development, which would give us almost a 50% set aside. So you would get, there'll be 200 units coming out of this, and we would almost get 100 units that would be affordable from this. Typically, what we have seen as affordable housing planners in state of New Jersey, typical set aside is 20%. 50%. So we getting a 50% set aside is a very good proposed mechanism that we are almost maximizing the amount of credits we get from this development. Again, it's redevelopment of a office building, so based on the fourth round rules, we get 0.5 credit for every unit that's created, and we are getting 50 credits for the 100 units that will be created from this development. It meets all the criteria of being available, developable, suitable, and approvable, because again, it is the infrastructure already exists on the property. The overlay zone will be created with proper standards, in terms of parking. It would require the proper the buffering requirements, as well as how the building is placed. There would be, again, a site plan review that would happen before the board, and it is obviously the site is developed, so no kind of environmental constraints exist on the site. So it meets all the four criteria that makes this site, again, a viable option for Township of Franklin. The third site is identified as Royal, 315 Davidson Avenue. This is just north of, I believe, the Palace is the landmark that everybody knows in Franklin, so it's right there. It is behind the Fairfield Inn. This site, the rear part of it is the vacant portion, and this also is proposed as an inclusionary development with, again, a 50% set aside that we would get from it. So the proposed units that would go here is almost 260 units, and we would get 130 unit credit from this development. It's a large site. It's almost, I believe, 19 acres. It can accommodate the 260 unit development that is proposed. The site is available. The contract purchasers are interested in working with the township in that. It is developable. It has already access to the existing infrastructure. There are some environmental constraints on the site, the wetlands that exist on the site, but an LOI has been applied for from NJDEP, and we still believe that there is enough of uplands to create this as a viable site for development. Again, it would be done through a zoning. It would require a site plan application and come before this board to make sure it is created with a proper land use requirements and standards that the Township of Franklin is used to. So these were mostly our family requirement. These were our family sites. We are proposing one another 100% affordable housing site, which would be mostly senior development. This was the site, if the board remembers, 2 weeks back, the board recommended in designating these as area in need of redevelopment. There would be proposed what we see as 120 unit senior housing development. We would be getting at least, we can get more credits, but we have a cap on how much credits we can apply, and that's why we can only get 12 credits from this site for age-restricted housing. So overall, that would be our plan. The couple of other holes that we would be filling is through the surplus that we are carrying from the round 3. We have 19 surplus credits. We get that, and overall, we meet our 659 number. This chart basically, again, there are parameters in the fourth round law. There are maximum and minimum targets that we have to meet. We have to show the maximum bonus credits that we can get is 165. We cannot, for age restricted, do more than 10%, which would be our 16 number. So the limit on the left is based on the 659 number, and provided is on the right based on what and all we are providing. So we are meeting the family unit requirements, we are meeting the very low income requirement, and we are meeting the rental requirement, and we are not exceeding our maximum limit of age restricted units. Again, in a nutshell, so why is this meeting important today? As I said, there's a deadline of June 30th in which every municipality who wants to stay within the program and be immune from the builder's remedy has to get the plan adopted and submitted before the June 30th deadline, and then the next timetable kind of follows after that. So Chairman, that in a nutshell was the brief summary of the plan, and I'm available for any questions.
Well, thank you very much, and I just want to like kind of color in the board on a couple of things in terms of how this plan was derived, maybe to head off any potential questions. First of all, because we as a township have taken our affordable obligation seriously for all the prior rounds, and we have bonus credits, we are in a very favorable situation, not only with judges and in terms of the Fair Share Housing Center and how they regard Franklin, not a problem child, right? But also the fact that we are able to, all of these sites benefit us, right, with the maximal use of credits and things like that. And were there other sites? Of course. There's a funnel. And some developers, they don't really want to play ball, or they want something for nothing, and we're in another good situation in that we don't have to give them something for nothing, because we have these sites and we also have bonus credits, and we're negotiating from a position of strength. So if somebody just wants to give us 20%, we say, well, you don't really have to be part of our plan because you got to give us 20%. You just come in with a plan anyway. We want something more. So we were able to turn people who weren't serious away and still fulfill this plan. I think the other thing that this really people need to appreciate is, with maybe the exception of the Palace site, and even that's somewhat of a stretch, nobody's bulldozing like woods and fields. I mean, the 3 sites are redevelopable, or they've got concrete on them already in the case of the redevelopment area that we heard 2 weeks ago. And so to do that with 600 and some odd affordable units necessary, and to be able to say we can do this without, having to hold our noses or squint real hard at things, I think is a real testament to how hard our professionals like Mark, especially Mark, has worked on this and put us in such an enviable position. And I think the position that we're in is recognized by other municipalities as they wish they could be in our shoes. So it's no small testament to the work that's been done in the Affordable Housing Subcommittee and Mark's work. So and our consultants such as yourself as well. So thank you for doing that. And so start down on my right. If there's any questions on this plan.
I just had one quick one.
Just make sure you're in your mic.
Davidson Avenue, not the Somerset Inn.
Bob, you're talking to your mic.
Not the Somerset Inn, what is it, 260? It says it's abandoned.
No, it's not abandoned. It's vacant right now with the extended stay.
All right,
It's not
because
abandoned.
it does use that word in the description, and I was curious because when I visited there was literally dozens of people
Okay.
moving in and out of there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's vacant, but but we had been dealing, it is for sale, and we had been dealing directly with the company that's the contract purchasers for that property.
Okay, the second question I would have is the Elizabeth Avenue property, Pomegranate, has it been, I know this is all preliminary and everything, but engineering-wise, has it been determined that you can fit 2 5-story buildings on that lot? Because they are extremely, I mean, that lot is right on top of 287.
Well, is the concept plan?
I believe so. I mean, there is a concept plan drafted for it. I mean, again, it's not engineered, it's at the concept level, but I believe the contract purchaser believes that they can fit
I just want to be assured that that project can be done that way with proper buffering for the people that are living there, because that, like I said, that is literally on top of 287. And the third property, I think, is probably a great property, the Somerset Royal Somerset Inn, I think the site plan is going to be very important. It's a narrow driveway with a bridge across the stream. It's basically a flag lot, one way in, one way out. That housing is tucked in behind a hotel, beside a self-storage facility, with a warehouse on the rear of the property. So again, the site plan's important. I don't know how far down the road that will be, but there is 20 acres there. And I would think that since it does appear to be a little isolated, that is a property that probably needs to have a lot of on-site amenities with it. Franklin Boulevard, I have no issue with it. Should have been done a long time ago.
So I'll just say that, this is a plan, but it's not, and I think, as you know, it's not pie in the sky. Each one of these applicants or proposers have provided concept plans prepared by professionals, whether an engineer or an architect have. I mean, this site in particular, there was an LOI and all of the environmental permitting associated with that bridge. So they're not going by just generic mapping off of DEP's website. This was based on a site-specific environmental, evaluation. There's still going to be a lot of details to work out. That's going to include, there are draft framework ordinances for each of these sites. But those, they're frameworks. So I think as we move forward through this process, fleshing out the ordinances is going to be something we're going to have to work on, let alone the site plans.
Well, don't get me wrong, I think that's a great site. The bridge is a little narrow, obviously one way in, one way out. My only concern is it's a little bit isolated, and it's surrounded by very different uses. The other ones you can make a different case for. I'm sure that we can make it work as a board. I do kind of have some reservations. I need, maybe they'll be satisfied when I see an engineering concept plan, but I do have reservations about Pomegranate.
Well, don't forget that, anybody that's going to give us 50% or 100% affordable housing, they don't do it out of the goodness of their heart. They still have to make a profit. And so that with that may come height and density, negotiations that give them more height, that give them more density, that give them an incentive to actually give us that much affordable housing as part of the site. And so that's why Mark is saying with each site will come its own unique set of zoning parameters or site parameters.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that, well, first of all, so Mike mentioned it as well, the Affordable Housing Subcommittee. So, as you know, a few members of this board are on the Affordable Housing Subcommittee, as well as a few members of council. So this plan has been, these mechanisms have been we've had a series of meetings going over these different parameters, these different sites. So I wanted to just mention that this was not just a product of the consultant working with staff and here's your plan. I mean, this has been developed with input from members of this board as well as council. One of the things that I want to bring up too is a typical way that towns commonly meet their affordable housing trust fund is through affordable housing obligation is through inclusionary development. And what that normally means is the typical is 20% of the units are affordable and 80% are market. What that would mean for Franklin, if we have an obligation of 659 units, and let's say we maximized our 25% bonus credits, that's about 500 actual units. Well, that would be about 2,500 two altogether. So one of the strengths, I think, of this plan, since we have two 100% affordable, right? And then 250%?
Yes.
The number of actual units, I think, is in the neighborhood of 850.
Yep.
So I don't know if anybody's necessarily, waving their pom-poms for 850 new housing units, but it's a heck of a lot better than 2,500. So, with the obvious community impacts, traffic, school, all that stuff that, we had that in mind. So we're, coming up with a plan that minimizes as much as we could the overall impact to the community that comes from additional housing units.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So, Mark, I think maybe you'd also, this is, if we needed to add more units, if somebody else comes up with another offer, you have the ability to amend our plan to the state?
Well, I see Peter leaning forward. I mean, it would have to be action by the planning board and council.
Right, but there would be no reason, I mean, those could be units that are created that are available for around in the future. So, I mean, there's no reason necessarily to revisit this now, as opposed to understand that those are units that are going to be available to be identified as available for your fifth round in 2035. Right. So, it's great that someone would want to create them, but you wouldn't necessarily need to address them right now.
What if we take Ram's question and kind of reverse it, which may make a little more sense? What if we say one of these falls through?
Yeah, that's
and we have to then find another developer and another site to meet our obligation. Would we then revise this and re-adopt it, or how would that work?
I think the answer is, I think I think we would have to.
Yeah. So
did I answer that question correctly, Peter?
Well, I mean, again, what you have to do is you have to create the ability for the units. Yeah. So you have to put the zoning in place, and you have to make it so that someone who wants to develop the site has the ability to develop it. You're very fortunate because many of the projects that you have identified in your prior rounds have been built out. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of municipalities, they zone, and the units aren't necessarily built.
Yeah.
So your obligation under the law is to create the possibility for those units to be created. You don't have to guarantee the creation of the units. So if one of these were to not be developed, that doesn't necessarily mean that your plan is bad. It may mean that in the fifth round, you have to look at the site again and say whether or not it's really a viable site, based upon the experience over a 10-year period. But it doesn't mean that you have to come in 2027 and say, we haven't had anybody develop this site yet, hold on, let's see what we can do. Yeah. So just so you guys understand.
Does that answer your question? Because it's a great question. I mean, it really is, because at this point, we have concept plans. Yeah. I'm sure Fair Share Housing Center, knowing the way they may look at things, or the way I guess they look at things, they're probably very experienced in detecting BS, I would say. So, I mean, they probably look at municipalities' plans, and, if you're literally, saying you're going to develop on swampland, they may not accept that as part. So I would imagine, and this goes to Bob, what you were asking, I'm sure they probably vetted that these meet your 4 criteria for each one of these sites.
Yeah, as well put, Chairman, I wanted to say that, again, fourth round rules, they're very strict on what type of site you're choosing. So they ask for those 4 items, whether they're provable, developable, suitable, and approvable. And the second part is, I'm sure, Mr. Healy will add to it, there is always a report card, so to say, that we have to kind of submit. We have to do that with our trust fund balances, and with prior rounds, we had to do something called midpoint review report, where we almost had to say, all right, out of the 10 sites we proposed, 4 are under constructions, 2 are before the site plan, and what have you. So there's going to be periodic oversee and check. And as Mr. Vignolo pointed out, it's Township's responsibility to make sure that there are zoned sites for creating these units, for creating the low and moderate income units, which is what we are doing. We are going to create the perfect zones. We're going to create the standards to make sure that these sites are developable and approvable. After that, somewhere down the line, if that doesn't happen, there would be a check and balance, and we'll have to probably revisit, all right, that site did not work through, but we'll have to come for something. So that in fifth round going in, we kind of say, all right, out of the 5 sites, 1 didn't work, but here's our, solution to that kind of thing.
Any other questions from the board? If not, we can open to the
Ms.
public.
Hilbert?
Yes.
Oh, Rebecca, I'm sorry.
Just two quick questions. One for curiosity's sake. Do we have an idea of what percentage of our current affordable housing units are, have tenants in them?
I believe I want to say almost 70 or 75% has been built. How many already have tenants in them? I know the units are built. I'll have to double check as to how many of them have got COs.
Yeah, I'm just interested in demand. My second one is, I'm sure you've thought of this, but just confirming that all of the proposed sites are easily connected to public transit?
I believe so. I mean, at least the one along Davidson Avenue have some kind of, mass transit around there, but we'll be, they are connected to the main roadways.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Well, there's the dash line, and that's maybe once an hour, goes basically from the New Brunswick train station to the Bound Brook train station. I wish there were more public transportation to these, or that we had more sites on regular public transportation, such as along Route 27. That's because I ride the bus on 27 when I want to go into New York.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well,
All right, so I'll make a motion to open to the public. If there's more board discussion, we can have it, but let me...
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Seeing no takers, move to close.
Second. All
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so, again, thank you. We will need to do what we did with the Trails Plan and adopt this as part of our fourth round as part of the housing plan element of the master plan. One quick question that I was going to ask, and this will be quick. When you take rehab, we have an affordable housing fund. I don't know how much money it has in it.
Just-
We use that to maybe, I know there are units, say, in Whitehall and in other complexes along 27 that are affordable, and maybe those controls are expiring. And I know it's not easy, having been on the subcommittee who developed this plan, to get a developer to acquiesce to continue that subsidy for an affordable unit when they can sell it at market rate, and there's no means to compel them to do so. But how much of the plan is some of that, or Habitat for Humanity, right? At least the ones I'm familiar with. There's a few on Churchill that were built in the last round. How much of that? I know you said 250 are rehab, so I assume that would fall into that category.
Yeah. So again, Township of Franklin is one of this, at an advantage municipality. You have a robust trust fund balance that exists. I believe as of starting of December of 2024, you almost had 15 million in your affordable housing trust fund, and that is one of the reasons that this negotiation has happened, because of which we can ask developers to do 50% set aside, do more 3 bedrooms, do, all these kind of items that would work to the advantage of Township's housing plan. So definitely the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the spending plan, which is in one of the appendices of your housing element fair share plan, accounts for providing monies towards making sure these developments occur, but it also allocates some fund towards rehab obligation, and we have also allocated for our affordability assistance, which is a requirement that at least 30% of your fund be provided for affordability assistance towards low and moderate income residents. And then we have leftover, which we have categorized as emerging mechanism, which, like you said, if, extension of controls were to come forward, the township would be in a state to negotiate that and kind of make sure, that occurs moving forward. And again, we get credit for anything that's extended within the period that it falls in.
I mean, it sounds like 15 million is a lot, but it's not. I mean, it really isn't. At today's prices, I think everybody knows. But I mean, just think about a unit that might be $2,000 a month, and you want to make it $1,000 a month, right? And you're going to subsidize the other $1,000. It's $12,000 a year for that unit for 10 years. That's $120,000, and that gets used up real fast. So you don't, and then you have, like you said, you're subsidizing or you're giving some assistance to a developer to actually make the project worth their while, to give a 50 or 100% affordable, and that goes real quick. It's like spending your lottery money. You might do it 2 and 3 times over, but it's still just the same 1x. So, all right. So with that, make a motion to approve the 4th round fair share plan.
Second.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Robert LaCourte?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Mahir Rafik?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Rebecca Hilbert?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, just as Ms. Apte indicated, you have an obligation to comply by June 30th. So to the extent that you need to have adopted a resolution and file that with the program, I prepared a resolution memorializing the board's decision, assuming that you would be adopting the plan this evening. I would ask that the board consider adopting that as well, because you kind of need to.
Yeah, I figure. So do we have a text of that? I mean, or can you at least
Well,
summarize
I
the text?
added it to the,
Okay.
it's on there.
Oh, okay, I see it. It's got the PDF. Okay, great.
Essentially, it's
Basically,
yeah.
it says
The
these
skinny
sites.
says that. Well, it doesn't even go so far as the sites. It says you have an obligation. The obligation's been determined. You have had your consultant prepare a housing element fair share plan to address that. You've reviewed it. You had a hearing. You adopted it. End of story.
Thanks for the cliff notes. So I would make a motion to approve said resolution.
That was Bob LaCourte, right? Okay. Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Robert LaCourte?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Mahir Rafik?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Rebecca Hilbert?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minka. So with that, I believe we are done. We will see each other again on when? First week of August? Or, sorry, July? Or when is it? Somebody's going
We
to that.
changed the meeting. The first week of July, obviously, is July 4th, and a lot of people
Okay.
go away. So
Yeah, not
we
gonna do
changed
that.
the meeting to July 9th. So it'll be the 2nd and 3rd weeks in July.
And so we're done for June? Or we're not done for June? Wait, don't we have
No,
some
we're
special
done
meeting?
for June.
We're done. All right. Okay, I thought we had some special thing at the end of June, maybe.
No.
All right.
No. We're done
All right.
for June. We have July 9th and whatever the week after, 18th.
16.
And
16th.
one of those will be Onyx.
Yes.
We'll deal with that when it comes. Just have it.
And then we have one meeting in August. So it'll be the first week of August, and that's
Little
it.
summer break. All right, so with that, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, have a great night.